Hello YouTube. Today I'd like to show you my chicken coop / garden system. Is that you turn your chicken yard into your garden, but you have to have two gardens. They have to be side by side, and you put your chicken coop in between the two gardens. As you can see, I have two gardens and one's tiered down from the other because our land slopes downhill. But there's the chicken coop in the center over there, and we have two doors on the coop, and a door for each side of the garden. And when the chickens are in one side, one garden, we close off the other door, and when we want them on the other side, we close off that door and they come to the other side. And the benefit of this is that your chickens will fertilize the garden for you. They will eat the weeds and scratch up the weeds, and they eat the bugs. So the next year when you go to garden, your garden soil's been very well prepared for you. Compliments of the chickens. So this side, the right side, we have tilled and we're ready to plant in it, but right now the chickens are using the left side. So I'm going to show you a little bit more about the garden structure, and then I'll show you about the coop structure. Okay, here's the garden from the other side, and you can see that our garden is tiered because, like I said, our yard slopes. So what I would recommend is, if you're going to be in your home and you want to set up a homestead, that you do this. But if you're not planning on being there for long, that not to do all this. But what we did was we got these great big landscape rocks. They're pretty heavy. I don't know if you can see them right there around the edges. And we lined both sides all the way around both of the gardens with them. And so this is a pretty permanent structure. They're very heavy, and they're very strong, so they hold everything into place really well. You can get them cheaply if you. We found a garden center or landscape center that sold these rocks, and we just got their seconds, and we got the leftovers from jobs, and we got them pretty cheap, and they are wonderful. But it was a lot of work getting this set up. We, as you can see, used fence posts and cattle panel all the way around both gardens, so both gardens are completely closed in. Cattle panel is the most wonderful thing for a farm, in my opinion. I can't tell you how much we do with cattle panel around here. But we wrap both gardens with cattle panel, and then because of some critters, smaller critters, you can also wrap it with another, chicken wire on top of that around. But I think we did because we had small chickens in here at one point, but I think we're not doing that anymore. So just the cattle panel should be fine for us. But let's see, I'm going to take you over now and show you some of the parts of the chicken coop. This is our chicken waterer, and this was a really simple system. I just made a little trough out of a sheetrock mud pan from Home Depot and just screwed it to some 2x4s and put a little garden hose double head on there, and when that water comes on, it really shoots into that pan and kicks out all the old water and fills it with fresh cold water, and works really good. Occasionally I have to go in there and scrub it out with a little brush because it gets a little algae growing in it, but it probably does right now. Looks like it does. But we also have this on a timer so that it'll come on 2 or 3 times a day and fill it up with fresh cold water for the chickens. I also usually have a cover over this. I haven't gotten the cover on it yet because it will get hot sitting here in the sun like this. But it's early spring and I haven't put the cover on it yet, but you want to cover your chicken's water too because it will get hot. Okay, so this is again, the chicken run, the chicken yard. And you can see I've got a tarp over the half of the yard, or a good section of the yard. And I made a support system for the tarp out of some PVC. I think it's maybe 1.5 inch PVC. Might be 2 inch, I don't know. Maybe, yeah, it's 1.5 inch. And you can see the little squares I made on the front there that support the front part of it, but the rest of it is supported by the cattle panel around the edges of the garden. And the PVC, excuse me, is just kind of a frame for it. And then I strapped the tarp to the frame with some zip tight. And it held very nicely for me this year. I couldn't believe it. We have had some of the heaviest snow. It did collapse, but I came out and I shoveled off the snow and popped it right back up, and it's held. And I'm hoping to get a few years out of it. I got a good heavy tarp, so maybe the tarp will last me 3 years. But I think the frame was good for a long time. So, all right, underneath the tarp in the shade is where we have the coop. And this is the part where they come out. There you can see the door. And above the door, I don't know if you can see we have one of these nifty automatic door openers, and that thing is a lifesaver. We just love that thing. It opens it up at 6 o'clock in the morning and closes it at 9 o'clock at night, and that's a lifesaver because then you don't have to walk into this nasty yard and shut the doors. If you do get one of those, make sure that if you have a power outage, you reset your timer, because it goes off and messes up the time. So check it often. But I love it. Can't live without it now. There is our chicken feeder, and that was something my husband made for us out of some old HVAC duct work. And he just kind of screwed some stuff on the front of an old wall duct and made a tray. And as you can see, the feeder is encased in some cattle panel, and on top of that cattle panel we put some netting, bird netting, because the birds kept flying in here and eating all of our food. So we put this little box around the feeder to keep the birds out, and over the door I hung a tarp piece and shredded it, and that keeps the birds from wanting to fly into the door. It really has worked. We don't have a problem with birds at all anymore. I'm very happy with that. The only other issue you have is mice and rats, and if you keep some poison around your coop in a container where the mice and rats can get into it but the chickens can't, you can keep the mice and rat issue under control. So that little feeder has a lid on it that you can dump a whole bag of chicken food into it on the top, and it'll feed them for a couple weeks without you having to mess with them. I am all about low maintenance. Don't like to have to tend to things at all. I mean, pretty much I don't do anything. The automatic water waters, and the feeder feeds, and the doors open, and I can not come out here for days and everything's fine. So okay, I'm going to take you in and show you some more details on the design of our coop.